Good Wednesday evening. Welcome into the High School Fan Zone on 100.7 The Score. This is Randy Rosetta, and as I mentioned, you're on 100.7 The Score. We're in the High School Fan Zone. It's a Wednesday night, which means Friendship, Lubbock, Cooper, and Liberty from 6 to 7 p.m. We're going to talk a little bit of baseball, a little bit of softball, and of all things, a little bit of tennis, because Liberty had a really good district tennis. I need Jamie Lynn in here to guide me through the tennis stuff. I'll fake it as much as I can make it on tennis. Baseball I know a little bit about, and that's why Friendship coach Chad Reynolds is in here. If you're watching on TV, he's the guy that looks a little bit older than the two guys in between the two of. And I'm not saying that I probably got a few years on Chad, so. But the two young guys in between us, I'm going to let them introduce themselves by voice here in a second for radio folks. But we got Braxton Neal and Noah Ingram. Two of the guys who have been around. This has been a different year for you, Chad, because usually we get to the start of the season, I'll say how many seniors you have, and you'll just start rattling them off. Maybe not as many seniors, but you have a few that have been around for a while.
We do. We've had those big senior classes, and really this is another big senior class. We've had some young guys that have played quite a bit this year, but we do have a lot of seniors this year. But we do have some that have been around, that have had some playoff experience and at least been on the bus and know what it's about. And so hopefully that experience will pay off playoff time. Starts tomorrow, Thursday, on the road against El Paso Eastwood. Correct. Always want to make sure I get the right El Paso. There's some directions, a couple of easts, a couple of woods. 6:30 p.m. at Monahan's Ballpark, Game 1. Hopefully don't have to dodge much weather tomorrow, and then Friday at noon. Noon, yes, sir. Same place. Friendship they do the neutral site thing, which to me is what you ought to be doing at this time of year. Some of the districts up here, I understand you're close enough you can play home and home. Although I need to ask Chris Baker about playing Wichita Falls one night, driving 4.5 hours or 3.5 hours to Wichita Falls and then coming back. That's a lot. Do they get a day break in between? Yes, they're taking a day in between. Okay. And I thought maybe they had prom or something. Yeah. You guys got prom out of the way, right? No. Ours will be Saturday night. Okay. Yeah. All right. So you guys, let these guys introduce themselves by voice so you know who they are on radio.
This is Noah Ingram.
This is Braxton Neal.
They sound a lot different, so that's good. Sometimes guys sound alike. So no pressure on you guys, but you have to take care of business on Saturday to make that 3-hour drive back home so you can get there for prom. Does that feel like pressure?
It's going to be a lot of fun, playoff time, win or go home, but we're just going to do what we've been doing all year. Just let our guys do our thing and go take care of business. You're back healthy, correct? I am, yes, okay. Sir. Yeah, feeling good.
The last game or two I saw, you were in street clothes. I didn't like seeing that.
Yeah. I had some back problems, but we're feeling great, sir.
One of those, Braxton, you're one of the guys that's going to be out there in the middle of the field kind of dictating what you guys are doing. I've watched you pitch a few times. You're left-handed, correct?
Yes, sir.
You're very deceptive left-hander, because I remember asking Coach about you last year. And he talked about you're not going to blow anybody away. You're just going to left-hand them to death. And when you get to the playoffs, pitching's big all the time. But how big does it have to be when you get to this point of the season?
Pitching, like you said, is always big. As a pitcher, you're kind of the quarterback of a baseball field, if you will. Like you're the guy who's in charge every pitch, every play. And you've always got to rely on the guys behind you, but you've first and foremost got to do your job to put your teammates in a good spot.
You've started and coming on in relief this year, correct?
Yes, sir. Early in the year I relieved some, and then this year I've started in district.
Yep, you've become one of the dudes, which, Chad, you and I have talked. You had to revamp that pitching staff a little bit. You lost a lot of arms. You had to kind of fill in some blanks, but when I've said that, I think I've said it on the air to you before. I think you guys may be a little bit deeper on the mound than you have been. Maybe not better.
Right, we had some guys.
Hammer, but yes.
Right, we've had some guys last year that could do it, and Braxton's threw some big innings for us last year out of the pen, and he's healthy, feeling good, and has had a really good year for us as in the starting role. And that velo's ticked up, so he does surprise some guys with the fastball when he needs to, but he can really spin it and a strike thrower and pitches ahead, and so he's done a lot of good things, and we're excited. He'll be throwing game 2 for us, and that's every game in these series is kind of there's some importance to it, but you want to get off on the right foot in game 1, but game 2, that's a send you home or send you to the next round or keep you alive game, and then the obvious importance of game 3 if you get there. But he'll throw game 2 for us, and so we trust that Braxton a lot.
The radio guy for LSU, and I don't know if he's the one who coined it, but he always called game 2 the marble game. I don't know if that's an old man term for all the marbles. I never shot marbles. I think you and I are young enough where that we'd gotten past that.
Yeah.
But it always sounded cool when he called it the marble game.
Marble game. I like it.
And that's in a regional play, which you played in a region. You played in 6-team regionals back in your day.
It was however long I was there a while. I think 5 maybe. 5
or 6. There was a lot of teams. It's a little bit different now.
Oh, the team. Yeah, it was my last year we started the super regional. So
that's basically what high school playoff series are. It's super regional. It's win or go home. You guys, I want you to talk a little bit about Eastwood. We're coming up on the break here. Brad Bibb was in Monday night, and he said they'd played Eastwood, and he said they were a pretty salty crew. And you look at the fact that they've won 24, 25 games. You don't do that by mistake.
No, it's going to be a tough round. In the past, this has been a 1-seed and a 4-seed game. But this year, we divided into big school, small school. And the 2 small schools are 1 and 2. They were 1st and 2nd in their district. So instead of us getting a 4-seed, we're getting a 2-seed. And we've played them. They're good. They can bang it around a little bit. So it's going to be a good series.
You've had some good series with El Paso teams in the past. It's not El Paso baseball is a little bit different than some other sports. They know what they're doing down there, and they get to play a lot of year round.
They do.
So they get their licks in. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. I'll run through the series again because it's on Raymar Airwaves. I believe it's on 97.3 the first 2 games, and then 97.7. I'll figure that out. We'll go through that. We're coming up on a break. We'll be back in the Tiger Fan Zone, talk more Friendship baseball as they get ready to begin the playoff run in 2025. This is Randy Rosetta on 100.7 The Score.
Bringing you the latest news from Friendship Athletics. This is the Tiger Fan Zone podcast from 100.7 The Score.
Welcome back into the Tiger Fan Zone for one more segment here. Let me run through that now that I have it in front of me. It's 6:30 Friendship El Paso Eastwood 6:30 Thursday at Monahan's Ballpark, noon on Friday, 30 minutes later if necessary. But these guys have prom, so they want to get back and make sure that everything's taken care of. I guess prom's not till Saturday.
That's right.
All right, so you don't have to worry about it. Yep. No pressure. No prom pressure. Let's put it that way.
No, we're good.
Games 1 and 2 are on 97.3 FM. If there's a game 3, it slides over to 97.7 FM. I believe the Red Raiders get to take over on 97.3 if that's the case. So, and according to Keith Patrick, Friendship.tv will be there for games 2 and 3 on Friday. So if there's any questions about that, I may just direct them towards Keith. So
there you go.
Noah, you're one of the guys that has been around for playoffs. You've been around football playoffs, baseball playoffs. I asked Braxton about pitching being a key, but what do you guys have to do offensively? What's got to be a key this week against Eastwood to have success and gain a little bit of momentum?
Yeah, one thing we preach in practice is just not trying to do too much. Just staying within yourself, hitting hard line drives in the gap, balls back up the middle. So just, stay within our approach and do what we're coached to do, hit balls hard wherever. And if they get caught, they get caught. If they don't get caught, they don't get caught, but hit balls hard.
And I will say that this season, I mentioned the depth being a little bit maybe more pitching. Chad, I've said this to you too. Your lineups maybe got a little bit more depth with guys with extra base potential. They're not finding gloves. Let's put it that way.
Right. I think you're right. It's getting everybody going at the same time. I think 1 through 9 we could be a little bit deeper than we've been in the last year or two. It's we're not real fast up and down the lineup. So we do need to hit some balls in the gap. We don't steal as many bases than we have previously, but we can pick and choose. So we just need guys to, like Noah said, have a good approach and not do too much and get good pitches to hit. And if we do that, then I like our chances offensively.
Now, I joked about prom pressure. There's no prom pressure. But for both you guys, there weren't you lost a lot of big names. I remember we were talking about the second round against Keller at Graham. I remember when I was standing there waiting, looking at all the guys who wouldn't be there next year and thinking, ooh, Chad and his coaches have some rebuilding to do. Not necessarily rebuilding, but putting guys in different spots. When you come into a year like this, Braxton, and you've lost some guys on the mound, in the field, does that take the pressure off, or do you just go out there and see if you can kind of put your signature on things?
I mean, I feel like it does a little bit of both, because coming in, you've got the young guys who haven't had that experience and they're trying to fill in shoes, and then you've got older guys even who don't have as much experience and they're trying to fill those shoes as well. So the pressure's on to earn a spot and to keep a spot, but we played with all the pressure on us in district, and now we're in the playoffs, we're in the extra stuff. I mean, this isn't guaranteed for anybody. So
nope, not at this time of year. This is where it gets fun and a little stressful. Noah, when I mentioned that Coach moves some guys around, he moves Colton from the outfield behind the plate. There was a freshman into the fire who I don't think I've – correct me if I'm wrong, Chad. Is that the first freshman that's played extensively since I've had my –
Probably so. It's been a while since we've had one in the field. Probably talking 2010. We had multiple guys on the field then, but it was a little different.
And you, young man, I want to make sure I get, there's two brothers, right? There's one that's track and one that's baseball.
Correct, yes.
Yours is?
He's football, baseball.
And which Archibald is it?
It's Peyton. Sorry.
Peyton.
Yep.
Not only did Peyton get thrown in the fire, he bats cleanup, correct?
Yeah, he's right there in the middle, kind of moves around at different spots, but he doesn't act like a freshman. He's real. He has mature at bats. He doesn't get emotional. He just goes to the next pitch. And if he does, if he doesn't show it, he's pretty mature for his age.
That's why you've got older guys like Noah that can kind of bring a young guy down to earth. At Coronado's, the closer they've got for them is a little crazy. And I know they've talked about how when you get to be an older guy, you get to be the guy who kind of brings guys like that down to earth.
Yeah, I mean, it all just comes from having, good relationships with your teammates that came before you, that were those older guys that kind of brought you down to earth, and learn from them and get to do the same thing. It's pretty rare we have a freshman, but he's awesome, great buddy, and great player too. So.
Well, and they've passed the torch, and they're looking to pass the torch this week when they begin the 6A Division II playoffs. That's going to wrap us up in the Tiger Fan Zone for this week. We'll be back after the break with Sherry Colwell on the phone. I don't know if I told Kyler that or not. This is Randy Rosetta with 100.7 The Score.